Good evening, fellow night owls, and you know what that means. It's time for a spooky one. Eagle-eared viewers will remember that I am a pansy. So when I say spooky, I mean not. So today, fellow night owls, I'm going to be playing So there's plenty of creeps here, but where are the Jeeps? Luigi's Mansion 3 was the first time that I touched the series, and to me, all of the Luigi's Mansion games all have a Venn diagram of sorts. Ghostbusters is one of the pillars of the comedy horror genre, and Luigi's Mansion borrows the poltergeist from the proton pack used in the Ghostbusters film. From the world of Mario, of course, we get Luigi. But that does leave us a question, which is the third pillar of each of these Mario games? In my opinion, for Luigi's Mansion 1, the third pillar is the original Resident Evil game. In both of these titles, you're lured to a mansion in the middle of a forest under auspicious circumstances, and you have to kind of traverse one single mansion in both the games. And the quick runtime kind of leads you to wanting to speed run or possibly look through nooks and crannies that you missed last time. For Luigi's Mansion 2, however, I'd have to say that the crossover is with MTV Cribs. Luigi's Mansion 2 pits you with collecting pieces of the Dark Moon, and those pieces have fallen at different mansions, so you have to go door to door to pick up the pieces. Like in the show MTV Cribs, you go into the house of a famous celebrity, take a look around, and beat it before you wear out your welcome. And when we get to the most current game in the series, I'd like to think of Luigi's Mansion 3 borrowing heavily from the Hotel Transylvania series. While Adam Sandler has moved away from using his movies as a way to take him and his best friends on vacation, doing the same thing in an animated film means that you could just do your voiceover lines at home and it wouldn't require any travel. I think that the animation styles overlap a little bit, and that's not a bad thing. Both this game and the Hotel Transylvania series are actually fairly well animated, and even articles like their clothing kind of look almost like real denim. And I feel like the hotel is an interesting place to take the Luigi's Mansion series, so I'm totally for this crossover.
Oh, hello, little boy or little girl. Would you care for a fun time treat? No way! A tidal wave of marmalade.
Now, just like the first two games in the series, Luigi has to drop everything to save Mario and crew, and they've all been turned into pictures by King Boo. And there's nothing especially deep about that. King Boo is just King Boo, like it's really not that deep of a story. You proceed through each level of the hotel solving puzzles with the unfortunately named Luigi, and the internet basically did what you think they would do with a character named Luigi. But each floor is themed uniquely, and the final boss ghost for each level is tied to that theme of that floor. When you beat each boss at the end of each floor, you earn yourself a button for the elevator that takes you to the next floor.
Egad reprises his role in Luigi's Mansion 3 as a base camp and kind of helper guide person, and he communicates to you through a virtual boy. I use the definition of a guide pretty loosely for Egad in this one because he's about as laissez-faire as the physiocrats of 17th century France, which my writers have assured me is a joke that many will get if you're a fan of Adam Smith.
Some of these bosses require going between floors in unique ways, so you'll have to keep your wits about you if you want to beat this game in a pretty okay time. Whether playing in docked or in handheld mode, I didn't run into any problems, and probably the only problem that this game has is actually kind of a good problem. And I think that the Poltergeist just has a lot of controls. If you step away from the game for a long period of time, you'll have to take a good amount of time to relearn the controls or just start the game over. So if, like me, you get about halfway through the game, not to worry, you can just forget all the controls, restart it next Halloween, get about 3/4 of the way through, and hastily write a YouTube video to have this video out on Halloween Day. So for my first outing in the Luigi's Mansion series, I actually really enjoyed this game, and I recommend it for basically anyone, especially if you have young kids. The previous games have also been made available somewhat recently. The first game was remade on the 3DS, so that's a great place to replay it. Luigi's Mansion 2 started its life out on the 3DS, so you can play it there. Or if you want to pay full price for a pseudo remake, you could play it on the Nintendo Switch. I reached out to my community on Threads and Bluesky to see where you would like to see the next Luigi's Mansion once Luigi's Mansion 4 comes out. Boor.Dustin, Boorns?
Are you saying boo or boorns?
Anyway, Boor.Dustin said either Silent Hill or Raccoon City. Earlier when we were discussing the overlap of the original Resident Evil game with the first Luigi's Mansion game, I definitely see the connection there, and I could definitely see Raccoon City being kind of involved. You could totally make it more Ghostbusters themed that way as well. Because if you have a giant city, you could just like make a car and give Mario a backpack and maybe even the Rabbids or some shit, I don't know. Weta on Threads recommended Mar-a-Lago, and I think that would be a very interesting place to take this. Setting Luigi's Mansion in a retirement home would be an excellent way to incorporate different types of ghouls and goblins. Shannon Benjamin said that she only played the first one, but would like to see a game in an amusement park. I think that an abandoned amusement park would be an interesting setting because we have Zombieland, and that would be totally an easy switch. So you all have fun trick-or-treating tonight, fellow Night Owls. For me, I've got a Great Pumpkin to watch for and a Luigi's Mansion 3 to finish. So we'll see you tonight.